We live in the Caribbean and I, a 25-year-old woman, have been with my 27-year-old partner for 3 years. I had assumed that since his oldest automobile broke down 2 months ago, he was saving enough for a new one. He asked me last night what I thought of him starting a car wash with his automobile money. I told him he didn't have to use all of his money to start a business, he could create a car wash in the space he already has at home. Just like that. Still, his mind sees something. In his ideal world, he would also do auto detailing, and he would use the proceeds to buy supplies for it. I said to him that although I didn't think it was a good idea, I would still back him if he went ahead with it. Then he said that he wanted to do something with me, which is why he was glad I was on his side. I assumed he meant me lending a hand with this venture, but no. He clarified that the plan for us is for me to take out a loan for a car that will be registered in my name, but since I don't drive, he will be the one to drive it. He stated a bank will take money out of my account each month, and he will pay half of it, when I questioned who would be making the payments. I informed him that I would never spend half of what I don't need to for a car that I don't drive. He claimed that it would be our vehicle and that I would be able to drive it after I obtained my license. I responded that since I don't plan to drive anytime soon and anything can happen, the whole situation doesn't make sense. When I asked why I couldn't just pay the full amount, he explained that he had plans to quit his job and focus on his car wash and detailing business full-time, so he won't be able to cover the full payment until his business takes off. Even if we break up, he will continue paying for a share, so I won't bear that payment, I asked. I apologized to him, but because of his instability, I am unable to get a loan for him or register a car in my name. He left after calling me a self-centered a-hole with whom he cannot see a future. He won't talk to me anymore. Even though my mother feels I'm correct, I feel awful because he won't be able to if I don't take out the loan. Prime remarks prior to reading the update *, not the a-hole. A request like that would make anyone wonder. For a car he drives, why would you pay half as much? If he paid the full amount, it might make some sense, but more importantly, why is he not able to take out a loan in his own name if he is employed? Banks won't consider him because he doesn't have a steady source of income. A pay stub from your employer that details your monthly income is one of the prerequisites for a loan in my nation. His earnings are usually erratic, in certain months, he is not even employed. Then take off. Do not at all mix your financial history with his. It's about being financially responsible rather than becoming wealthy. You don't want other people's blunders to taint your records. It makes sense the way you've described it. He can't see a future with someone he can't con into lending him money, of course. Not the bastard. Because this is so vital, Hijack King. I've worked in the auto industry for a while, but I'm not sure how things operate in the Caribbean. However, I can't tell you how many ex-spouses we have turned down for loans due to negative equity. It isn't a case of it's in my name, I can sell the car back. No, you still owe the bank and dealers won't buy unless you exchange it if you split up in 2 months and made the minimal down payment or, worse, no down payment at all with little to no equity. You're in even greater trouble if he breaks his end of the bargain. Don't, please. Purchase an automobile alone, preferably one you don't use. Isn't it lovely when rubbish removes itself? With only a pinky commitment, he is requesting that OP assume a significant financial risk on his behalf. How would OP hold him responsible for honoring his word, even if OP made a contract and had it stamped? What happens if the ex-boyfriend totals the automobile even if the OP agreed to pay half of it? Such risk-taking would not be tolerated from a loved partner. This is obviously foolish from a financial standpoint. Not the bastard. Don't be the a-hole, please. I did it foolishly for my now ex-fiancé. A little more than a year later, we broke up. At a time when I could hardly afford to eat, pay the rent, and utilities, he allowed it to be repossessed, which destroyed my credit. I was forced to file for bankruptcy, which was terrible. There was no way to collect from him once he was imprisoned. Other than dating him in the first place, this was my biggest mistake in life. That was an excessive response from your lover, and you would be better off without him. I'm really sorry you experienced that. I really appreciate you sharing your story. I will surely give it some thought. He has me blocked on everything right now and hasn't returned my calls, so I'm not sure what's going on or how to proceed. Here's the latest information. Hello everyone, I want to say how much I appreciate all of your thoughts, anecdotes, and suggestions. It greatly eased my decision-making process, and I sincerely appreciate it. He contacted me earlier and ended our relationship, citing that partners are supposed to share everything and that they can't rely on me to support him through difficult times. I called his mother, with whom I am close, and informed her that we had broken up and the reason for it, after he had given me a hard time about how I thought I was better than him because of my work, how I looked down on him, and how I didn't want to see him succeed. She told me that I had made the right choice despite her, to put it mildly, extreme unhappiness. She claimed that despite her advice not to sell the car, he followed through with the transaction. She wished me well after he finished speaking, and I went to find something to eat. She must have informed him about it again because he texted me right away. I'll just copy and paste his words. Him, calling my mother requires what level of childishness? Me, I wanted her to understand why and when we broke up. He said, just say I wanted to trick her into thinking I'm trying to take advantage of you. How have you ever assisted me? Tell me. No, what's depressing? I was supposed to be able to confide anything to you. You never had a car of your own, so I sold mine since it was becoming too costly and I needed something more practical. You are aware of that. I'm not sure why you're attempting to damage my family's perception of me and give the impression that I'm pleading with you for a car. I'm shaking my head. I have never encountered a more self-centered and a holy person than you. How come you couldn't just be pleased for me? How come you were unable to simply accept my dreams? Do you honestly believe that once you got me a car, I would leave you? It's because you lack common sense that people will take advantage of you. Our breakup was due to your lack of intelligence for a woman with education. Tell her that, please. Yes, I agree. Even though I didn't reply to any of those messages, reading them gave me a terrible headache right away. I want to thank all of you for your support. I am truly, truly grateful for it. Next story, do I look like a jerk for not giving my girlfriend financial support? To put things in perspective, I'm a 24-year-old man and have been dating my 29-year-old girlfriend for around a month. We've been friends since about the middle of April, and she struggles financially since she can't afford to take care of her mental health due to her present joblessness. I recently completed my master's program last year, and I currently hold a respected position that pays exceptionally well for my age. She begged me to lend her money so that she could buy groceries because she truly doesn't have any other options and told me today that she doesn't have any money left for the remainder of the month. I am aware that she frequently chooses to spend money on something she wants over necessities, such as clothes or makeup, rather than meals. Since we've known one another, she's demonstrated that to me and doesn't seem to be open to suggestions. It was awkward for me to just give her the money. Thus, we decided on a middle ground. She proposed that I just pay for the groceries when we go shopping together. A few hours later, she calls to tells me that she discussed the subject with her friends and is now upset with me for treating her like a helpless child who can't take care of herself. Real quote. She also claims that I make her feel horrible because I'm about to go on vacation and believes that I'm an asshole for forcing that on her. I wanted to unwind after working a lot of overtime the past few months, so I also scheduled the trip before realizing how much she was going through right now. She goes on to say that I don't know the real world and that I don't understand how she feels. My mother and I share a home. She is aware that I am actively looking for a place to rent right now, and I am aware of that. Thus, I would like to know if I am the jerk in this scenario. Not the bastard. It seems like you worked out a way to satisfy her requirements while also making you feel more at ease. She simply doesn't like it since, as you mentioned, she most likely would prefer to use the money for something else. It's funny since she came up with the solution several hours before she had a change of heart. I simply consented to it. She's been calling you names for not paying her expenses even after you've just known her for a month. That's the Red Sea, not a red flag. Before she can get her claws even more into you, dump her. Not the bastard. A massive warning sign, frantically waving in the midst of his first dumpster fire. Before she baby traps you, leave. Hey, not that a-hole. It's time to start hunting for a new girlfriend. 1 month into your relationship, This one is attempting to emotionally harass you into giving her unrestricted access to your money by begging for it. You're merely her newest target, you're not a boyfriend. Proceed. Furthermore, at this point in life, a 5-year age gap appears significant. Despite being 5 years older than he is, she doesn't exhibit mature life skills. Oh no, not that bastard. Dump the girl, she needs to learn how to live her life and handle her money. Her attitude is inappropriate, and the relationship is far too young for all of this to be happening. It's obvious that she has toxic friends that have similarly immature mindsets. Don't fall farther into that money pit, spare yourself the headache. Last story, did I really lose my friend a career opportunity by telling him I didn't like his boyfriend? My age is 27. Jamie is the boyfriend of one of my friends, Natalie. Jamie is a total flake. He is among those that make crude jokes and then label you as sensitive if you don't find them funny. Too many times to count, in the 18 months I've known him, he has called Natalie dull, ordinary, and obese in front of her face. He has frequently intentionally irritated me and called a number of our mutual friends nasty and nasty names. He really is the butt of every joke, but we all put up with him because if we didn't, we'd never see Natalie. Cliché Hannah walking. Natalie encouraged my roommate Harry to interview Jamie for a job that recently become available in his company. Harry belongs to our larger circle of pals. After meeting Jamie but not spending much time with him, his friend, who was dating one of the girls in our group, thought Jamie was a decent man. I choose to stay out of it since I am aware of Jamie's prolonged unemployment and how it has impacted Natalie. Harry could see I was uneasy, though, when he indicated he was going to do the interview at our flat. I only mentioned a few hurtful things Jamie said to me or about me, and I wasn't really happy to be around when he was acting that way. I didn't discuss the whole depth of his behavior. I advised Harry to hire the most qualified candidate for the position and to take no action over this. Harry conducted the interview, but it required Jamie to prepare extensively and give a presentation to other staff members, and it also made the session unnecessarily lengthy. Finally, he declared that he would not be hiring him. Jamie was upset with Natalie about it, and Natalie was upset with me. Knowing how amazing the position would be and how difficult it is to find jobs in the sector, Sega shouldn't have mentioned Jamie. Furthermore, I should have been considerate of his unemployment and the fact that I am unaware of how challenging the job market is. Now that she stopped talking to me, our friendship is strained. Some people believe that since Jamie truly needed the job and would have eventually helped Natalie, I shouldn't have said anything. According to a friend, it's reasonable that I told Harry that I didn't want Jamie living with me and that Jamie is a potential HR issue. While it's true that Jamie shouldn't lose his job due to his behavior outside of work, why should I have to put up with Jamie's actions? If being honest makes him appear awful, then perhaps that's the issue. However, I suppose it was only a few quite trivial pranks with actual repercussions, so perhaps I shouldn't have said anything. I'm not sure if I should offer an apology. Edited to add, in response to inquiries about how I notified Harry, Jamie went home and attacked Natalie for not giving him the job, even though it was essentially a lock because Harry was doing it as a favor for Natalie. She contacted, reasoning that I was the only one who could have convinced Harry to reconsider performing her the favor, and I ultimately told her the truth. Then she told everybody else. For anyone who might have missed it in the post, my house is Harry's home because we share a room. Harry spends most of his days working from his home office. He regularly holds meetings from that location, which is usually acceptable because I am very familiar with every one of his staff members. In the end, he had the interview with Jamie at the registered company office rather than at the residence. Here are some remarks, not the bastard. It was merely a joke, and Telemad, please stop being so sensitive. Yes, the talent buyer thought he was uninteresting and mediocre. Not the bastard. Harry probably didn't purposefully extend the interview beyond reasonable limits. He did it to put Jamie to the test about the topics that you discussed in order to determine whether your casual remarks were the result of a friendly guy and your personalities colliding, or whether the topics he brought up would be problems at work. The purpose of her conversations with her staff members was probably to find out if anyone else felt uneasy. Most people are able to put up a decent front in a brief interview. People behave better when put in more real-world scenarios, which allows you to see the person they would really be working with. You didn't do anything improper. Jamie is solely responsible for his failure to secure the job. It says a lot about a person's lack of self-accountability that he became upset with Natalie for not getting a job. His actions would undoubtedly be brought up in conversations with prospective co-workers, and it's probable that his actions had more to do with Jamie's rejection than anything he said. Even if he had been hired, he probably would not have made it through his probation. That's right. I dated a jerk who was a lot like Jamie. He had the interview in my office, and I expressed my identical worries in a memo to my manager. He was a cruel, ageist, sexist, and lazy person who would stop at nothing to get to the top. They put him through a harsh interview process, forcing him to talk to female boomers who pressed him on the specifics of his accomplishments as opposed to those of his teammates, for which he claimed credit. He became prickly and lost the job. Boston did not respond to my concerns. He lost it all on his own, and my supervisor found out about what I said in any case through a reference check. Though they put it more elegantly than I did, it was still easy to read between the lines. Hopefully, you are not the jerk. He is, and he is aware of it. My former employer had an interview policy that essentially said you didn't be hired if you treated a middle-aged, white guy significantly better than everyone else. It's the same, I suppose. It was a nice location to work, but sad that it was required. Because my former company was so small, every time someone was interviewed, they met with all of us, and occasionally it became an interesting social experiment, I promise. Some people were unaware that they would not be employed at all if they acted dismissively towards female support staff. Overseas.